What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, hit that like button. We're going to give you a recap of what happened on episode number 5, as well as what's been happening on the past 2 days on the live feeds. It's been kind of a lot. For the most part, it's been kind of a sob story for one house guest in particular. But we'll get to all that after the recap of the episode. So we saw in this episode the nominations, but we also saw how they kind of came to be, some of which we knew from the feeds, others that we got some more information and kind of a clearer picture on why they happened in this episode. One thing I do want to highlight before we even get to the wild card or the nominations was I feel like there was one star in particular, someone who maybe deserves an Academy Award for how good their acting was. Tiffany. She is brilliant, and she's quickly becoming one of my absolute favorite Big Brother players, almost of all time, this season at the very least. She's smart. She's great at working other people and making good connections. She is just hilarious in the DRs and just in general inside the house. I saw a clip last night. They were actually playing pretty much a game of Mafia or Among Us. It's kind of like that game where there's imposters and you have to vote out who the bad people are, right? Almost like Goose Goose Duck, which we played on stream just the other night. She was getting accused by, I believe it was Alyssa, and Alyssa's like, I don't know, my boobs are telling me that we have to vote Tiffany out. And Tiffany just looks at her and is like, girl, you don't even have any boobs. The whole house just burst into laughter. She said it with her whole chest. She was just so confident with it. Tiffany is amazing. She's an absolute star on this season. And I'm so glad that we had her, especially because we didn't have much going into the season on who she actually was. Her whole bio and everything that we had got preseason was very basic, right? She didn't give a lot of information. And you know what? That carries over in the house. When she's talking to somebody, she's able to pull so much info from them, but she barely gives them anything back in return. So she is someone who the only thing I see that could be a hindrance to her in the game is that everybody else knows all this, right? I've heard people say, write her the check for America's favorite player already. America's going to love Tiffany just like we love Tiffany. If there's a thing for an America's vote, Tiffany's going to get it, right? So they all kind of know how charismatic she really is and how wonderful she is. So that is maybe her only thing that could hold her back for the rest of the game. Other than that, we saw the wild card competition, which, much like last week, only 3 people were competing in, 3 people from the other teams in the house. It was Frenchie, Brent, and Sarah Beth. We covered this in our live feed updates, but for anybody who's not following those spoilers, those were the 3 that competed. The competition was very similar to one that we've seen in past Big Brother seasons, where you have to kind of get the colors right, and then the color will explode in your face if you got it right or wrong. It was a little bit of a twist, right? Because in the past ones, it explodes in your face if you're wrong. In this one, it exploded in your face if you were right. So if you got color splashed onto you, that was a good thing. Before the competition, we did see in the episode Frenchie trying to convince Brent and Sarah Beth and pretty much everybody in the house. He's like, oh, I'm going home if I don't win this. I'm going home if I don't win this. It's like, you realize there's a veto too as well that you could potentially win. But you're banking everything on this. Frenchie is one of the craziest, most out there players I've ever seen in Big Brother. He is up there with some of the great burnouts from week 1 HOHs, just some of the great paranoid players that we've seen in Big Brother history. And I don't know what to say about him anymore. It's really been kind of a wild ride with Frenchie. I'll give it this. It's made it fun these first 2 weeks, and if we didn't have him, I don't know if it would have been as fun. But he also has a giant head, and we'll get into more of that with the live feed updates as well. But the competition goes on. Brent doesn't do great. At one point, he actually answers green when the question was what color comes under green. So it didn't do too well. And then, to a lot of people's maybe surprise, the underdog possibly in this competition, Sarah Beth, wins it. She pulls it out. She wins that wild card competition, being able to prevent Frenchie from getting safety this week, which was really the ultimate goal that everybody wanted to see. Now, she was given the offer to be able to swap teams with somebody, make a trade with her team and the Queens, who are the current team in power because of Kyland being the captain, winning that HOH, giving his entire Queens team safety. So she could have traded with Tiffany or Claire to be going to the Aces, which is the team that Sarah Beth is on. Sarah Beth decided to decline that offer, actually, Sarah Beth is on the Kings. She's on the Kings. Sarah Beth declined that offer to go and trade to another team, staying on her team, meaning she didn't have safety, but that wasn't really that big of an issue for her this week. She pretty much knew that she didn't have much of a chance of being nominated because of her very close relationship with Kai, which we've talked about in the past on this channel, and still will actually be covering a little bit later as well in the live feed updates. That brings us to the nominations, and the nominations were, one of them wasn't really a surprise going into it. The other maybe was for some. We had Frenchie and Britini go up on the block. Now, at first, I was a little bit confused on why Kai chose Britini instead of somebody like a Whitney or somebody like Brent to go up next to Frenchie, because those were maybe his three closest allies in the game. But after seeing a lot of the one-on-one conversations and a little bit more clarity on where Kai's head was at, Britini was so closed off on giving him enough information, and he really was the only one who didn't throw Frenchie under the bus. And that kind of made him think that she's going to be going with the Joker's team over any alliances that she has or anything like that, would be more supportive of Frenchie in the long run than somebody like a Brett or a Whitney, who actually threw him under the bus when they came and talked to Kai. So it kind of made sense overall on why he ended up going with those nominations in the end. So yeah, that pretty much covers what happened. Oh, and also, Britini really took these nominations to heart. She did not like getting nominated and was very upset in her diary room confessional afterwards. So we'll see how this ends up going. She also was pretty much convinced that she was going home on the live feeds after these nominations happened. So she has nothing to worry about, I don't think, this week. I think everybody knows the target is Frenchie, and that is all we have to worry about this week. Now, before we jump into the live feed spoilers, this is your last chance. If you don't want any live feed spoilers on what happened with the veto or anything at all like that, now's your time to click off of the video, because I'm going to be giving you my updated status chart as well as an updated alliance chart. I still have some work I want to do with it before I officially release it on places like Reddit or Twitter. So if you don't want any of those spoilers, now is your time to click off in 3, 2, 1. Boom, here we go with the updated chart. As you can see, Derek X, 1 veto for the second week in a row. They're already claiming him as king of the veto this season with 2 veto wins in a row. And really, that secures Frenchie's spot in going home this week. He knows it. The rest of the house pretty much know it. There's really no chance for it to flip, I don't think, even either. Unless there's some weird hinky votes that happens, I could see it being unanimous and everybody just sending him out the door. And Frenchie knows it as well. Frenchie knows it so much that he was going around saying, he's like, well, bye guys, just don't leave me any bad, mean goodbye messages. My kids are watching. He's saying the ratings are going to go down. He said this season's not going to be any fun without him on it, and that the producers need to step in. Frenchie's head is so big at the moment, and it's so clouded with everything that's happened, I guess, in the house, that he doesn't realize what his perception is, actually not just in the house, but outside of the house. At this point, I'm going to be cheering on Thursday, seeing him go. I'm sure he is a fan, but what's bugging me so much is his threats that he's going to self-evict. He literally at one point was packing his bags as Derek F was trying to convince him not to. He's like, I just can't stay in a hotel for 4 weeks in case there's a battle back. I just can't do that to myself. It's like, dude, if you're a fan of this show, do you know how many people who have applied, gone through interviews, who dream of being in the position that you're in right now and you're ready to walk out on it? Don't you dare call yourself a fan if you self-evict, Frenchie. There's still a couple more days, till we get to Thursday. If you self-evict and you quit, which in this episode that just aired, you said you're not a quitter and you never quit in your life. On the live feeds, it's a different story. On the live feeds, you're telling everybody you're going to be quitting and you're going home. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't call yourself a fan. Don't call yourself a super fan and be all over Twitter saying, hey, if I'm ever on the show, you can drag me and call me out because that's what I deserve if I do that. Don't do that and then act like this in the house. It's one or the other, right? It's one or the other. Simple as that. Now that little rant is out of the way, let's talk a little bit about some of the updates to the alliance chart. You can see I kind of added a little final two deal section over there, at least of the ones that I think are meaningful. There's other ones in the house, but I don't know if they really actually were that legitimate. And also, I don't really know if they matter in the long run. I do, though, have the Frenchie and Derek F1, because that is pretty much the only alliance that Frenchie still has in the house is Derek F. He's the only one that really has his back, period, the end. Nobody is really still on Frenchie's side, except for Derek F. There is the Alyssa and the Christian little final two deal going on there. As far as I can tell, it is not a showmance. It's not a showmance. They're just friends. Who knows? Maybe we'll see a little bit of a budding showmance form out of it. But Christian, he flirts and hangs out with all the girls. We do have also Kyland and Sarah Beth there, as well as a final two deal. That is solid. Those two are really, really tight friends. They have a very solid final two deal and are always talking game. Pretty much it's one of the big reasons why she felt no need to make that trade and cause any friction or anything like that in the house. She was like, I know I'm safe. I don't have to worry about going on the block. Kai is HOH. Then we also have Tiffany and Claire. Tiffany and Claire are maybe the most fun to watch talk game. The two of them, the way their minds work, you know what I compare it to a lot? BB Can 9, when I was watching people like LT and Tina, the two of them, when they would have conversations, you wanted to listen. You wanted to hear what those two were saying because the way they saw the house, the way their banter was between each other, it really gave you a good insight on what was going on inside the house. And not only inside the house, where things were going to be moving forward. And I love watching these two women talk game. It is one of my favorite things to watch on the feeds. Above them, I've added the Kings and Queens. So pretty much this is just a mashup of the Kings and the Queens team. They're all really kind of working together. They trust each other. Is it an official alliance? Maybe not, but they are working together, and there is a good trust and relationship there between those two teams. Above them, we have the new Slaughterhouse minus Frenchie. Pretty much it's just sticking together ish, right? At least for show. They're kind of saying, yeah, we're all going to work together just as long as Frenchie's not here. Is it real? I don't know. You be the judge. The next to them, we still have the Cookout, which is good and solid. We also have the newly named Kingslayers. They were originally called the Sirens. I did see some people refer to them as Kingslayers. I think that's the more popular one that I've seen around the internet is the Kingslayers over the Sirens. So I've relabeled them the Kingslayers for everybody's enjoyment. We still have the Jackpot and the Trio Alliance down there. And the Firefighters as well, which... Yes, the Firefighters were a thing that were formed with Travis. Now that Travis is gone, how much of it is actually an alliance and more of just, them working together? Was it a kind of a 1 week thing? I'm not really sure. I do know that Kai and DX have a pretty good relationship. He's working with the Queens and trusts them really well a lot too, but it's not really a firm alliance that has a name or anything like that. So that might be the next one to go, and maybe something new will form, maybe with the Kings and Queens, and we'll add DX into that one as well. But that remains to be seen. So that pretty much covers it for the episode and the live feed updates. as well as the updated alliance chart. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button down below. And then once again, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We try and do these updates almost every day. I've missed a couple of days here and there. I apologize for that. We will, though, every single Thursday be watching the live eviction episodes right here on the channel with all of you guys. Last Thursday's episode was a real good one. So hope to see you again this Thursday. And as always, expect the unexpected, and I will see you next time.